All right, welcome back to the show. So I'm excited to be introducing a returning guest again for this week, Chris Bounds. So if you guys don't know who Chris is, I'll definitely leave our first interview podcast in the description in the show notes right below here so you guys can check out our first interview, learn a little bit more about who Chris is. But Chris is a real estate agent and investor who's flipped over 200 houses here in the Houston, Texas market and is now one of the leading experts in AI and automation for real estate agents and investors, and the founder of Pathways, which is currently the leading platform that is based on AI for real estate investors to be able to optimize their business and, of course, increase their income as well. So, Chris, welcome back to the show. I'm excited to be talking with you today, specifically about what you're working on with Pathways, AI and automation for real estate investors and agents.
How's it going, Kobe? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just like briefly for our listeners and viewers out here who don't know who you are, and just kind of, would you mind giving us a little bit of background into how did you get into what you're working on now, and becoming essentially like the leader when it comes to AI and automation, specifically for real estate investors?
Yeah, I mean, you highlighted before, flipped around 200 houses and raised around $20 million to do those deals. And there's, a lot of flips. Some of those were wholesale, some of those were rentals. But all of that requires a lot of redundant tasks. So being a systems guy, in the very when I was starting this journey, I was looking at ways to automate redundant tasks. That was a way I was able to get more done than the next person that's just relying on Google spreadsheets. So, or Excel spreadsheets or whatever. So I started off that way, but I just very quickly realized that, hey, look, I need to work smarter, and I'll work hard, but I need to work smart at the same time. So I need to automate stuff. So I was doing that for years, and I would come up with a new problem, realize, hey, look, we're doing this thing over and over and over. Like, there's no intelligence required on that. Technology can automate it. Let's go ahead and automate that. So I've been doing that for years. It was always a like Pathways kind of came around as solving my own problems. Then AI came into the picture and just put like lightning fuel, or rocket fuel onto that mix, giving a whole new intelligent way to solve problems and automations, but more specifically, or at least where a lot of the use is now is making sure that every single lead call gets answered live, making sure your follow-up gets done consistently and persistently, plugging some of the biggest leaks in the business. And when you plug those leaks, it's like the easiest ROI boost you can have because you're just stopping money from falling out of your bucket, which where does it go if it falls out of your bucket? It goes into someone else's. You did the work, stop it from falling out of your bucket so it stays more in your bucket and then which goes more in your pocket. That's what it did. All this was it just all started of solving my own problems. And then started exploring, talking with other investors and telling folks like what I have, and they were like, "Yeah, that's cool. Like, can I? Where can I try it? How can I get something like that?" And that's how Pathways came to be available to the public.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. So I know, I mean, we've worked together for a few years, and I know you've been investing for a while. Actually, it was a small part of like earlier when I first started of your investing operation as well. So talk to us a little bit about, I guess, what you're using AI specifically for, right? Because there's a lot of investors out there that probably heard of AI and they don't really know what to use it for practical reasons. They're maybe making some images with ChatGPT to use for their marketing. So, in a big picture kind of level, what are you specifically using AI for from an investor's perspective to be able to, like you said, automate your tasks, be able to kind of get rid of some of the redundancies in your day-to-day business, but still be able to be just as effective, if not more effective, with your operation?
Yeah, yeah, and just backing up a little bit, it's where we got or how we got to where we are now. So AI started out as a cool chat. So Chat GPT, you can like funny Q&As, you can have fun with it. It can do some copywriting. And then that was 2023, 2024 or 2022, 2023, it could think. So now it had like when you told it something, it didn't just have to go word by word by what you said. it could actually use context and intent and give it had a reasoning ability to not just go by what you said, but what you really meant and what your purpose is behind the input. That was huge. And then in 2025, AI could act. So not only could it take input and respond to input and think and have very contextual and have intelligence behind the output, but now it can act. It could actually update your CRM, trigger certain workflows. Um, it can communicate two-way intelligently with context. So where investors can like this is the biggest easiest ROI that any small business owner, entrepreneur, investor can do, real estate agent can do right now. Install AI as a lead setter. And this is and I say lead setter to simplify, but really just install AI into the inbound lead flow. Now for your phone number, it's when they call your line, AI answers because AI has the ability to sound very human-like. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good and it's getting better every single week. But it makes sure every single call gets answered live. Because the only thing worse than AI answering the phone, if you find that to be a bad thing, the only thing worse than that is a missed call and a voicemail. Because what happens when a customer is calling you? So they took time out of their day to look up, a solution. You're the solution. They chose you. Whether it's Google, whether they're responding to a direct mail piece or meta ad, they chose you. They call you and you don't answer the phone. Like you don't answer the phone, it goes to voicemail. No, so AI prevents that from ever happening because if it goes to voicemail or if it's a missed call, what do? They call someone else. They have a problem and they need to solve it. So they just AI make sure that that call is answered 100% of the time. Live qualifies the client, qualifies the motivated seller, and books an appointment right on your calendar. And then I'm just going to call them back, not when the appointment is. I'm going to call them back as soon as I'm able to, which may be immediately. But if I'm at an appointment, it could be 30 minutes to an hour from now. Call them back immediately. But it didn't go to voicemail. It wasn't a missed call. They got helped. And we're seeing this in real time. Like this is actually being game changing for investors. But the other thing is follow up. So everyone in business knows fortune in the follow up. You do get sometimes like first call closes. Now, as a real estate investor, it's not as common. So, more than half your deals are going to come from follow up. As a real estate agent, probably a little bit more common, but there's a few extra steps you're probably going to have to go through. There's so much value in follow up, but we get busy, we forget. And like we're chasing the new deal. Like we actually get a deal over here, or a client or whatever. And so that's more important now, not knowing that we need to follow up. Or we hesitate to follow up because we've already followed up 20 times and like, they haven't responded. But the truth is, they called you for a reason. Now, their pain point may not be high enough to actually move forward to the next step yet. So in the case of a motivated seller, they've got this tenant, they're behind on rent pretty frequently. They call you, you make an offer. Okay. No, they're not going to accept that. But 3 months down the line, when they haven't made payment in 2 months, now are they more motivated? Yes. So what happens is if you follow up, you're top of mind. They call you back. If you don't follow up, they forget who you are because they're busy too. They're just going to call someone else. And that other investor gets an easy deal because you did the hard work. AI makes sure that follow up via text, email, and voice, outbound voice, gets made consistently on time because AI never forgets. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't sleep in. It doesn't ask for a raise. It doesn't get tired. It's very good about doing what its job is, which is making sure that all clients get answered when they need it and they get followed up on consistently. So those are the easiest ROI like boosters to your business. Plug those two holes, and if that's all you did, like game changing. You're gonna 100% see a result in your bottom line in your pocket.
Yeah, and those are important things, right? I mean, there's a lot of agents out there who are losing deals, a lot of investors who are probably losing deals just because they're not responding fast enough to people who need a solution really quickly. But, they're out there on their appointments or doing something else, right? Maybe they're filming content, and they're just not able to be available 24/7, right? But with AI now, you're able to basically have somebody answer the phone and be responsive at any time when somebody has an issue, right? Because it's not really up to us when somebody wants to give you a call after they've seen your marketing. So, I mean, like for example, you're on here doing a podcast now, somebody could technically be calling you and you can have an AI be, answering them while you're
I was
doing something.
listening. So on that, I was listening to a testimonial. An investor, he said, I was like, hey, because I know I know he loves it, loves pathways. So I was like, hey, can you send over a testimonial? And I didn't know the situation he told me about. So in the testimonial, and I'll put it online sometime. He was like, I stepped away from my desktop. So he stepped away from his computer. I don't know, maybe he went to go get water. Maybe he had to go to the restroom, but he stepped away. He was away for a couple minutes. When he came back, he realized a call had already come in. But our AI, Pathways AI, answered that call and booked an appointment right there on the calendar. He did not miss that opportunity. Now, in another world with a different investor that didn't have AI set up, that call gets missed, and now they're playing chase. Like, best case scenario, they're playing chase, and that seller has already called another investor. So now there's competition too. That's best case scenario. But in this investor's case, there was already an appointment with a qualified seller right there on the calendar. Like, who wants to answer the calls all day, including spam calls, folks that are just wasting your time, tire kickers, folks that are mad at you for marketing? Like, you get that. Who wants to answer that all day? And then who wants to only talk to qualified sellers? Like, which job do you really want?
Yeah, I think most agents and investors would rather spend their time talking with qualified clients.
Yeah. So
Because
not only did it help capture them, but it also makes sure that your time is better used. And then your energy too. Like your energy is a lot better when you're only talking to qualified sellers who want, who want what you have. They're interested in what you have versus when it's mixed in with all the other riffraff that it just comes with running a business.
Yeah, and that could be really draining, right? Because it could really drain your day and drain your time, and like you said, your energy as well. If you're just taking calls from people that aren't interested or calling you back just to curse you out because you called them earlier, it's not really efficient, right? You could be working 16, 20-hour days, but you're not getting anything done. Versus now, you could be working the same amount of hours, but you're only focusing on the people that are driving your business forward, that are actually
Yep.
becoming real clients as well. So kind of getting back to the follow-up portion of utilizing AI for your business. So I know a lot of agents, investors, anybody who's like in business has that same problem that you mentioned earlier, which is, they get busy and they forget to follow up, but really it's, they followed up so many times and then haven't heard a response yet. So they're just kind of, hesitant about following back up again. So obviously AI can help take care of kind of the time investment that you're putting into it. But what about the effectiveness, right? So is AI able to generate maybe better messages, better outbound follow-up campaigns than you could maybe personally? Or is it something that's kind of on the same level, but it's really just saving you time, and that in itself is just a better ROI on your time?
Yeah, so when AI follows up, it has contextual information. Like it knows the history of them. Now, me and you, we'll remember some. We're definitely going to remember some engaging conversations we had with prospects, but we're not going to remember everyone. AI doesn't forget that. So it remembers that and keeps that in context with future communication. So there's that, and that's pretty important. But also, it gets smarter the more cycles. I call this it's a flywheel. So first capturing more leads, then following up, and then centralizing all this data all in one place, which helps you improve. Now, it helps you as the operator run a more efficient business, but it also helps AI because everything's in one place. All the call transcripts, all the emails, all the text, it's all in one place that AI can then use as information to help with future communication. So, yeah, it gets smarter, it gets better, and you as the operator are able to see those things, and then you can make executive decisions to make little tweaks here and there that's going to make the whole system, the whole flywheel continuously get better. So this is why I made a post on this earlier today. Data is the deal flow. Data is the asset. That's it. And here's the problem that entrepreneurs and small business owners and investors face right now. You probably unanimously, people know that AI is important, it's powerful, they probably should learn about it. But we're busy. So it's kind of like, other than ChatGPT, I'll figure it out later. I'll figure it out later. But here's the problem. In 12 months, the AI gap between business owners that implement AI, so not only they implemented it, they have run that flywheel through their business for 12 months. They have a lot of data. So their systems are not only better connected and implemented, they're running smarter than an investor that waits 12 months to get started. The gap between those two businesses is going to be so wide that it may be difficult to impossible to even catch up. So it's like Mark Cuban said this. He was like, there's two types of companies in the future. There's companies that are great at AI and companies that used to be in business. And it's that black and white. This is not because it's moving fast. It's moving ridiculously fast. Now, the good thing is most people out there haven't plugged in yet. So so I say you have time, but 12 months is not a lot amount of time. Like if you're on the latter end of that, you're swimming against the tide. Uh, do it fast. Like this is moving really, really fast. Take advantage of it because early adopters always get the easiest and cheapest wins. Late adopters figure it out. It just costs them more time, more money, more energy, and they don't have the data to help. They're always playing catch up. Like this is not something to play around with and try to play catch up.
No, and AI changes so fast too. I think that's one of the reasons why you should really start implementing it or, start learning about it at the very least immediately because it's always changing and evolving, right? Like you mentioned, when it first got started, it was just kind of like this little chat feature. And within what, 3, maybe 4 years, really it's 3 years, maybe less than that, it can do things that we didn't even imagine was possible, just 3 years ago. So that's something I think, for investors or agents, for people who are busy they should really start thinking about is, this technology changes so fast that by the time that you're learning it, it could be something that you're trying to, start from square one where everybody else is already at, the current level, right? And then would
Yeah.
you say that's kind of one of the reasons why people get left behind?
Yeah. So here's how fast it's moving. Like voice AI answering your call and being able to follow up via outbound voice and then text and email AI being able to intelligently answer all inbound leads and follow up. That's old. It's actually revolutionary to most businesses because they're not doing it yet, but it's actually old in the framework of how fast AI is moving. So here's what happens in 12 months. AI has to be on every single channel, like your phone, your email, social DMs, text, to where if a customer or a prospect needs information, if you don't provide that instantly, you lose the deal. And it's as simple as that. But also, AI is going to be able to be involved in the entire process, the entire pipeline. So, as a real estate investor, I'm talking answering the call, qualifying them, estimating repairs, pulling comps, negotiating offers, sending contracts, and then opening title. No human involved. That technology exists today. That can be built out today. It wouldn't be as clean. Like I wouldn't run my business blindly off of that, but it's just a math problem. So it's not a situation that it's not something that cannot be solved. It will be solved. I think that'll be solved in the next 12 months. It's just that's pretty advanced for some folks. The easiest ROI is just get your phones answered and let's make sure we follow up because most people aren't doing that, even though that's old technology. Plug in that. The other stuff is coming. It's going to come really, really fast. I was watching a video about AI dispositions. So for wholesalers, where AI is intelligently, connecting buyers with properties that they're likely to pay, and they're likely to pay a premium. And if the video is true, I mean, I don't know them, but I mean, if we take the video for what it's worth, it worked, and they made like $100,000 on a wholesale fee, which is not unheard of for really good wholesale deals. So I was talking about the lead process, qualifying all the way to closing for a lead, but now we're talking about disposition. They can do the same thing too. Property management, doing the same thing. We got an investor using Path3 right now where he had a property manager managing multiple like mobile home parks and RV parks and his single family rentals. Now he has AI for every single property. He has a separate AI agent, and his property manager is managing the AI. He's just watching the transcripts, watching the calls, just making sure that way if anything funky happens, anything like it wasn't supposed to do, which that happens, definitely happens, just like an employee can maybe not do something you would do. He steps in, fixes problem, tweaks, now everything's running again. Human managing machines. So it's it's moving fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that's maybe like the next most important skill for people to learn is how to not just, be able to implement AI, but work on managing it, right? How do you become somebody who manages, different AI agents, like you said? Would you say that's maybe the next most important skill for business owners to be able to develop?
Business owners, yes. Individual like employees or agents or solopreneurs, you have to be AI enabled. So there, I mean, there's this looming question. Some folks say this is impossible. Some folks say it's inevitable. Like in the next couple of years, it's will we get AGI? Will we get artificial intelligence that is as smart and capable as some of the smartest humans? So from an information standpoint, we're already there. From a like actual execution and everything we are as humans, no, it's not there yet. Some say we're 2 to 3 years away from that. Others say it's impossible. I don't know. But here's the thing. What is better, human or human empowered with AI? Human empowered with AI. 10 out of 10. Like there's no situation where a smart human that knows how to use AI doesn't outperform other smart human. Now, if you want to take it to the extreme, Elon Musk said you could take an entire skyscraper of like data analysts. So they're all sitting there, they're all really smart, they all have their laptop. And you got one laptop that's AI powered. That one laptop beeps the entire skyscraper. So now you take an entire skyscraper where every single laptop is AI powered except for one. There's still one human involved. Well, the business with just that's fully AI powered still beats the skyscraper. So we're not completely AI run yet. I don't know if we'll ever get there. Maybe we will, and we'll figure that out. I know right now we have AI. You need to figure it out. You need to learn it. You need to implement it. You need to do it as fast as possible. Because if you don't, the you you're going to end up getting replaced. You're going to end up getting replaced by someone else who did it first. I'm not talking about you as a human, like, hey, we're all valuable, but you as what your value is to the marketplace, like figure it out now and uh, do it before someone else does it for you. That's what I'm saying. You got 12 months. Implement it now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a ton of time, right? 12 months and that's a big jump, like you mentioned, from somebody who's not doing anything to, implementing it and then trying to start 12 months later. That's not a ton of time. So if somebody was starting today, right, if they had, maybe had never used AI before, maybe they haven't even touched ChatGPT yet, which is rare, but I'm sure there's investors and agents or just people in general out there. Where would you start? Would you start immediately? Start implementing things as I guess advanced as, um, you know, having AI voice agents implemented in your business, or should you start just kind of getting familiar with AI first, and then maybe kind of make that jump when you're ready? What would you say? And I think I
Yeah. Yeah, I
my
mean, if you're doing any type of marketing, like it's so easy to plug in voice AI and conversational AI, which is text-based. Those two plugins to your lead flow, your deal flow, It's so easy. Like with Pathways, it's instincts. We already built it out for you. We already have the templates. You just like create account, get set up, boom, like it's done. So that's the easiest thing. Now, if you don't have a business, then I mean, yeah, I guess go learn about it and try to do some vibe coding and see if you can create something cool. But I talk to business owners, I talk to a lot of investors. That's what you need to do. I'm like we're doing a custom build out for a professional services real estate professional service business, and they were saying like, hey, they close about 50% of all leads that come in, but the problem is there's so much manual work between the close and actually like getting them onboarded that some of them drop off, and then the other 50% they just can't follow up on. So he was just like, I can close 90% if I can just like instantly convert them. I was like, okay, well, we can do that. I was like, how much that's worth? And we did the math. We did the math. I was like, hey, look, well, if we only increase things by 50%, we only improve it by 50%, not the going all the way to 90% you're talking about, then it ended up being like, I'm going by memory here. I think it was like $250,000 in net revenue to their business. And then I don't know what their multiple is. That's just revenue. And I was like, well, then you have the lifetime value of a client, how long they last, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. And then you have the actual valuation of the business. So let's take your multiple. Is it seven? Is it 10 or whatever? And then, so now it's not just revenue, it's like exponential value to your business. That's what that does. So start with making sure your deal flow is buttoned up. Inbound leads and follow up. That's the easiest thing. You can get into the nitty gritty, but you don't have to be an expert at that because there are companies out there like Pathways and there's some other ones that will come up with some really, really sharp tools. My advice would be to don't like, you pause on shiny object AI tools because there's a lot of those too. See how it solves real problems and how that solution actually drives revenue. How does it help you with more sales or significantly reduce costs? Because like Pathways does that too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the big problems with AI, right? Is there's so many tools. There's like a lot of different things that you could do. You mentioned vibe coding as well. That gets, really into kind of this whole thing as well. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is actually serving the purpose that you want with your business, is increasing your revenue, right? It's actually solving a problem, right? You're not just kind of going out there to implement AI just so that you can be on the trend, right? And it's actually not doing anything, which I'm sure there's people out there doing that, right? Kind of wasting their time away just doing AI for the sake of doing AI.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got your target customer. It's like ultimately you got to figure out what is the smoothest way possible that you can implement AI that'll help you run your business, close more sales, and also fulfill whatever it is on that customer. So for real estate investors, it's we need to be able to buy quickly, close quickly, because we're talking with folks that are motivated, and they're motivated for a reason, because they've got a problem. Maybe they're behind on their payments and they're facing foreclosure. Maybe they got a tenant that's just been like a pain in the butt for 6 months or whatever. They need solutions to that. You're trying to solve their pain. And if it's going to voicemail and just a missed call, like you're not helping them at all. You spent money on marketing and effort on marketing, but you didn't answer the phone. So they just call someone else. Like, answer the phone. Like, qualify them. Tell them help is coming. Get them on your calendar. Pretty simple, right? They're happy, and your bottom line will be happy too.
Right, right, exactly. So I know you mentioned, obviously getting your deal flow, kind of in place with AI, but you also mentioned lead generation, right? So are you guys doing anything with AI when it comes to, increasing the effectiveness or the efficiency of actually generating leads? Or are you guys using it maybe in your direct mail campaigns, kind of using, smart targeting or different ways that AI can help, improve your content? Is that something you guys are working on or have already implemented with the users and pathways?
Yeah. So first, we have something called Mail Pixel. So I built my business off direct mail. I have an affinity to it. I think the best ways to target your audience, at least in real estate, is direct mail or Google Ads. Google Ads, or Meta Ads. That there's a little bit more technical things that are involved there. So you're probably if you don't have that knowledge or skill set, probably better off paying an agency, which makes it more expensive. So I go back to direct mail because it's not as expensive. But we have something called MailPixel that does intelligently track. It does what Google does on the internet. So Google changed the game because they were like, "Hey, marketer, business owner, all these people that went to your website, we can like retarget them, right? Like they went to your website, they like what they saw, they just didn't buy yet because they're busy. You should retarget them. It'll cost you less money for a higher intent prospect, increasing your closing ratio while decreasing your cost. You should like retarget them. And it was game changing for digital ads. Well, we can do that with MailPixel now. So the old rules on direct mail is you take, say, 1,000 postcards, you mail them out every 6 weeks, and you do that 6 times. It's expensive. You got to be consistent, but the math works because you're going to get 1 to 3% response rate, and then you're going to get, maybe 10% of those will actually convert into a deal. And, that math works. It's just expensive. Well, with MailPixel, what we can do is you send 1,000 postcards out, 50 of them go to your website. They don't fill out the form, they don't call yet. Like they just met you. They don't call you yet. But we know who they are because we have very unique, smart QR codes. We know who they are. That gives us the ability because these are people who have they've raised their hand and said, "Hey, look, I'm interested in what you got. I don't know about calling you yet." Well, now we can skip trace them and call them, text them, email them, go knock on their door, send them another mail piece, target them more frequently. And then the other 950, I mean, I wouldn't not target them. It's just we don't have to mail them as frequently now. So lower costs, higher conversion rates. So that we've had implemented in Pathways for a while. It's game changing for direct mail marketers. For the next level of this, just today, I announced publicly Project Atlas. So Atlas is a in development feature within Pathways where you'll be able to go into your target market and use a map tool and draw out your area, put the criteria that you're looking to search for certain properties, certain motivational signals like pre-foreclosure, tax delinquent, inherited, high equity, out-of-state absentee, all these things, equity percentage, and then pull that right into your account. And then you can also set up automations that automatically send out direct mail or automatically send out text or whatever you're doing. There's also called Atlas scoring, where it's a propensity to sales score. So it's an AI generated algorithm. It's an AI score based on a whole list of different metrics because there's over 700 data points. So it's a whole bunch of little data points that are put into an algorithm that give it a score on likelihood to sell. So with 100 being like, okay, they're selling now. And then one is, okay, they probably just bought their house. They're probably not selling anytime soon. But that helps you focus again on more likely to sell. There's additional, isn't quite AI related, but it is in keeping your database clean. We have AI or Atlas Radar, where it'll be able to scan your database and update it. So if your database and you have a property that, boom, now it's on the tax delinquent list, you know about it. You might want to call them, right? It's hard to call them if you don't know. Or maybe properties in your database sold. Do you want to keep calling them? Do you want to keep sending mail there? No, probably not. You might want to scrub those out. So keeping your database fresh and clean, helping you make smarter decisions and spend your marketing dollars more wisely. There's other layers to that get pretty crazy that we'll do down the line, such as cross-referencing, specifically with cash buyers, being able to take a particular property in a particular marketplace that has particular features, and using AI smartly, intelligently, go look at the buyers that would want a property like that, especially ones that might be willing to pay the price that you're looking for, pay a higher price. So we'll introduce stuff like that down the line, but yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I know I've read a little bit about Project Atlas. I think it was last week or a few weeks ago. So I'm a little bit familiar with it, but just hearing you kind of describe what it can do, especially I think we mentioned about scraping your database and then seeing like basically like lifetime updates on what's going on with the sellers, what's going on with the property. I think that's very valuable because I don't know, for a fact, but I don't think a lot of investors are going out there doing this manually, right? Where they're just checking their entire database, every month or, I guess every week
It's
or
expensive. Like if you were to pull fresh data, like that's just it's expensive. So like I've spent as much as like 30,000. I spent over $700,000 in direct mail marketing over the years. It's a lot. I wish I knew the exact number, but it's definitely over 700,000. I stopped counting. Um, there's a lot of redundant data in there, and there's probably a lot of mail pieces that I was sending to that they already sold. They already sold to another investor. Like there's no sense, or they sold on MLS. It would have been nice for me to not spend the money on that. There's also properties on that database because I would buy a list, two, three, four times a year, depending on the type of list. Um, but I would only get the information whenever I downloaded the list and put it in my system. I didn't get any future updates. So if any one of those things, those properties had some other signal pop up, like a pre-foreclosure or a tax delinquent or whatever, it was listed on MLS. Like I wouldn't know about it unless they called me. But now with Project Atlas, you will. And that allows you to be like make basically go quickly after the properties that you want.
Yeah, and that's very important, right? It saves you a lot of time. It gives you that first mover advantage, right? Once you have that information. So as an investor, you can go out there and really, be ahead of the competition, like you mentioned, when it comes to,
Absolutely, absolutely. And for agent, you're using this stuff too. Like if you're farming an area and a property just gets listed, do you want to farm that particular prospect anymore? I mean, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. If it just sold, do you want to do it? I mean, probably not. If not, if you're going for listings. So the data is the deal flow. You have to have data, and better data leads to better AI, and better AI leads to better results.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Chris, just want to say thank you for taking some time today and sharing a little bit about what you're working on with AI and with Pathways as well. For listeners and viewers out there that want to learn a little bit more about how to use AI in their business, maybe they want to learn a little bit more about Pathways specifically, and how to, be able to take advantage of this new tool that you're, building out and continuously to improve. What are some of the best ways for people to either get in contact with you or to learn a little bit more about how they can start implementing AI before that 12 months window, that ticking time clock runs out for them?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So pathways.com/AI. That'll lead you to the AI deal flow optimization session. So what we do is it's a one-on-one live call with me, and we'll map out your deal flow from original contact to close. See what those leaks are, and then how AI and Pathways can plug those leaks and what the value is when you plug those leaks. So at that point, you at least know what the leaks are, you know what you need to do to fix them, and then if it makes sense, kind of show you how AI and Pathways could fix them, or you can just take that information and DIY it over a few months if that's what you want to do. So that's the easiest thing. I'm all over social media as well, especially Facebook and Instagram.
Absolutely, man. We'll make sure to leave the links in the description, the show notes down below, so that way people can find you easily. But other than that, Chris, just want to say thanks again for being on the show. Before we let you leave, what is one last nugget, one last piece of advice you want to leave with us before I will let you sign off today?
Yeah, don't sleep on this. Like, don't sleep on it. It's moving way too fast. So a common piece of advice that has, especially in Silicon Valley and all that stuff, is always like fire yourself before technology fires you. Now that was before AI. That's just common advice before AI. AI makes that more important. Don't sleep on this. Fine, like this quarter, January through March, get AI plugged in your business. My advice is do it in January. So that way you have a whole year, and then when 12 months are coming around, you're the one that's ahead, and you're not playing catch up.
Absolutely. That's great advice, Chris. Thanks again for being on the show. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next show. Take
Thanks.
care.